What does Ukraine have to teach the United States? In September 1940, as Germany dominated continental Europe and Britain stood alone under relentless aerial bombardment, a small delegation of British scientists quietly arrived in Washington. Their country was fighting for survival. The Luftwaffe was pounding British cities. Invasion seemed possible, and yet instead of pleading emotionally for American intervention, the British brought something far more powerful: technology. Led by Henry Tizard, the delegation carried with them one of the most important technological breakthroughs of the war, the cavity magnetron. This innovation would allow radar systems to become compact, powerful, and deployable on aircraft and naval vessels. An American historian later described the magnetron as the most valuable cargo ever brought to our shores. But that wasn't all. The British shared proximity fuses that dramatically improved artillery accuracy, jet engine research, gyroscopic gun sights, self-sealing fuel tanks, and other advanced systems that would shorten the war. More importantly, they shared something even more consequential: early research from Britain's secret nuclear weapons program. That knowledge would directly contribute to the Manhattan Project. British and European scientists fleeing fascism would work alongside Americans. The cooperation formed the backbone of post-war American military dominance. The lesson was clear then, and it remains clear today. Smaller allies, even those under siege, can contribute disproportionately to strategic innovation. They may lack the industrial scale of a superpower, but they can offer something equally valuable: urgency, creativity, and battlefield-tested solutions. And that brings us to Ukraine. The American debate about aid to Kiev often frames Ukraine as a dependent nation, a recipient of weapons, funding, and humanitarian support. Critics portray it as a constant demander of resources, but this framing misses something crucial. Ukraine is not only absorbing support, it is generating innovation at a speed and scale that few Western defense establishments can replicate. The comparison to 1940 is not sentimental, it is structural. Just as Britain offered radar and nuclear research in exchange for survival, Ukraine today offers real-time military innovation. It offers live battlefield testing. It offers rapid adaptation under extreme pressure, and no American think tank, defense contractor, or laboratory can fully simulate what Ukraine is doing in real combat conditions. Ukraine does not possess a vast network of elite research institutions like Britain had in the late 1930s. Nor does it have the industrial depth of the United States. What it has instead is necessity, and necessity is often the mother of disruptive innovation. Operating under constant bombardment, with limited resources and reliance on foreign supply chains, Kyiv has been forced to eliminate bureaucratic delays. Decision cycles have shortened dramatically. Civilian engineers collaborate directly with military units. Software developers work alongside drone operators. The line between civilian innovation and military application has blurred. Ukraine has created what some analysts call horizontal warfare. Horizontal warfare breaks away from rigid hierarchies. Instead of relying exclusively on large defense conglomerates or centralized command structures, Ukraine distributes innovation across hundreds of small teams, startups, volunteer groups, and frontline units. It is the logic of the digital economy applied to war: distributed, adaptive, low-cost, iterative. This model contrasts sharply with the traditional Western defense approach, dominated by massive procurement cycles, billion-dollar platforms, and years-long development timelines. NATO planners have been particularly impressed by Ukraine's Delta battlefield management system, which integrates satellite imagery, drone feeds, reconnaissance data, and unit positions into a shared digital map. What many Western armies still present in PowerPoint slides, Ukraine operates daily under fire. Even more striking are Ukraine's naval drones. Without a traditional navy capable of confronting Russia's Black Sea Fleet directly, Ukraine deployed low-cost, semi-autonomous surface drones built using hybrid civilian technology, 3D printing, and modified explosives. These drones have significantly damaged or neutralized a substantial portion of Russia's fleet presence in the region, forcing Russian vessels to reposition away from Crimea. The strategic implication is profound. A country without a major fleet imposed meaningful costs on a traditional naval power using relatively inexpensive, adaptable systems. Ukraine has also become a pioneer in the widespread deployment of ground robotics to reduce human casualties. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into drone targeting systems. Reports suggest that the vast majority of Ukrainian drones may incorporate AI-assisted targeting in the near future. Innovation cycles that might take years in Western procurement systems are compressed into weeks or months. This battlefield laboratory is both fascinating and unsettling. Automation increases, precision lethality expands, costs decrease, warfare becomes more software-driven. For Western militaries observing closely, Ukraine represents a glimpse into the next generation of conflict, and Europe has understood this quickly. Countries like Britain, Germany, Sweden, and Denmark are investing directly into Ukraine's defense industry, not simply out of solidarity, but out of strategic calculation. Supporting Ukrainian innovation strengthens European deterrence. Every jointly developed missile, drone, or artillery system contributes to Europe's own defensive architecture. The logic mirrors 1940. Supporting a creative ally under pressure is not charity, it is strategic investment. Yet in Washington, institutional inertia remains powerful. The U.S. defense industry is dominated by a handful of major corporations with near-monopoly positions. Programs like the F-35 have consumed trillions of dollars and decades of development. These systems are technologically advanced, but they are expensive, slow to evolve, and often locked into rigid procurement frameworks. Ukraine's startup-like defense ecosystem presents a sharp contrast. Instead of decade-long acquisition cycles, Ukrainian teams iterate rapidly. Prototype, test in combat, adjust, deploy again. It is a continuous feedback loop driven by survival. When President Zelensky visited Washington with a delegation of Ukrainian defense entrepreneurs, it was not merely diplomatic theater. It was a technology showcase. American venture capital firms have already begun investing in Ukrainian military startups. Silicon Valley figures have shown interest. The message is clear. Ukraine is not only asking for weapons, it is offering innovation, and yet cultural gaps remain. Recently, a U.S. military unit released footage highlighting what it described as an innovative experiment, attaching a grenade to a small drone and dropping it on a target. Online observers quickly pointed out that Ukrainian forces have been doing this in multiple variations since the early months of the invasion. The episode revealed something deeper, not a lack of American capability, but a lag in cultural adaptation. Ukraine lives in a permanent innovation cycle because it has no alternative. The United States, protected by oceans and unmatched defense budgets, can afford slower adjustment. But in an era of rapidly evolving drone warfare, AI integration, and decentralized conflict, speed matters. So how can Ukraine help America? By accelerating its adaptation to modern warfare, by providing real-world data, by challenging bureaucratic complacency, by demonstrating that agility can rival scale. The lesson from 1940 still echoes. Supporting inventive allies in moments of crisis is not a one-sided transaction. It is a strategic partnership. Britain's technological contribution helped shape America's post-war dominance. Ukraine's battlefield innovations may shape the next era of military doctrine. The only question is how long it will take Washington to fully recognize that this is not simply aid, it is an exchange.